We're going to be putting on the AT external bracket on a 2020 Jeep Rubicon, and you're going to need a tape measure. You're going to need a pilot drill, like an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. Then the final drill bit is going to be a 1/2 an inch. You're going to need a 5/32 inch Allen wrench, and of course the drill, and that's it. So this is the bracket. When you order it, it is going to have all the bolts and the washers that you're gonna need. And if you look at the inside, these are the well nuts. The 4 well nuts are right here. These are neoprene rubber. These are flanged neoprene bushings with a nut embedded in the non-flanged end, which is this end right here. And as the bolt is tightened, friction from the neoprene flange against the piece that is being fastened prevents it from not being turned. So you get a really good seal when you get these mounted on your hardtop. So these guys that are in here, these 6 rivet nuts, these rivet nuts here come with the bolts that you're going to need, and also the washers. And you're going to get 4/4 20 7/8 stainless steel button head bolts. You're going to get 6/4 20 by 5/8 stainless steel button head bolts also. And you're going to get 10 1/4 inch stainless steel fasteners for the well nuts and the rivet nuts. So everything comes with the bracket itself. So the first thing you're going to want to do is most likely just take all these bolts and the washers off, and then after that we're going to do some measurements on the hardtop. So the first measurement is going to be 2.5 inches from the bottom of the hardtop, and measure up, and like I did right there, these are pre-marked. So your second measurement is going to be from that right there, that edge of the rear window lip, and you're going to measure in 1.5 inches. So roughly 1.5, somewhere right in there. When you're doing the measurements, this is where you want to measure from, this bottom edge right here. So you're going to measure here and go up, and then to make your measurements from the window lip, as they say in the instructions, the window lip is right here. So if I were to put my window down, so the window lip isn't the window itself, it's like that right there. That's what you're going to measure from. Okay, this windshield wiper component back here, and this just simply, you can just pull that out. It's really easy to pull out, but there are a couple of wires in here that you definitely don't want to drill into. So if you look deeper in here, you'll see that the exterior is like, there's about a 2.5 to 3 inch distance from the external wall of the top. And so, but be careful, there's you have a little, this is the hose, and then you have 3-4 wires over here. So one thing you can do is you can actually get some painter's tape and just put some painter's tape to hold this out like that, and you shouldn't hit it. The other thing you need to be concerned about is the mount here for the rear window. This is a mount bracket supporter, and so when you drill the bottom bolt, you want to make sure that you're not going to strike this. So, and there's instructions that you can get online for this, but just to point that out. So the first drill, the pilot drill, is going to be this is like a quarter to 1/8, and I'm going to drill this first pilot right there, and this is the bottom hole, Now on the bottom hole, you don't really have to be that worried about this bracket mount on the inside, because in the same principle, this fiberglass is built so there's like a 2.5 to 3 inch area in here that is nothing but a cavity. So when you punch through here, just be forewarned that you've got about 2.5 inches of just open cell space in here, no wires, no nothing. And the bracket is mounted on the internal area of the, as you can see here, so right here. So you have like from the outside, so here's the outside where my finger is, to right here. So you've got that much space, so plenty to work with. So the first hole we're going to make with a very small 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch drill bit, and right on top right there. And then we'll go up to the top one. This is right there. Okay, one thing you could do when you're working with fiberglass is you can take painter's tape. Now for the first 2 pilot holes, since it was real small, not a big hole and stuff like that, there's still a lot of like flake, but I would recommend putting some painter's tape on before you do the next drill. So after I cut the first, or drilled the first hole, the pilot hole, then I put some painter's tape on here. Then I take my fingernail and just rub over it in a couple of directions, and it will give you an impression, and that's where you're going to put your second bit, right in that hole. And then the painter tape right here will keep all this, like the fleck, the residue from the, as you can see, even the pilot hole with that 1/4 inch made a lot of dust. So I'd recommend putting some painter's tape on that. So then we're going to get up here and we're going to take care of this hole right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step it up to a, I believe this is the 1/4 inch. The last one was an 1/8. So I did the first pilot hole with an 8 inch. I did the first pilot hole with an 1/8 of an inch. And then this is the 1/4 of an inch. And then the final drill bit is going to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go with this one. Okay, now we're going to drill the final 2 holes here. So we're going to start at the bottom. And here we go. So as you saw, when I was drilling, the drill bit actually pulled. Yeah, so for your benefit, since I already did this, when you're using a drill, start the drill first and then apply pressure on the hole. Otherwise, if you put it up to the hole and then turn it on, this drill bit was so sharp it just pulled it straight in. So when we're looking at taking the bracket, so I have my first 2 holes right there, and they look good. So then what you do is, the instructions say that you need to take the external mount and you need to extend it out 3/16 of an inch. So what they mean is to extend it out like that, because, let me show you. So what they're talking about is this flange right there, where my index finger is pointing to, that's 3/16 of an inch. So what they're trying to tell you is that you want this 3/16, you want the bracket 3/16 of an inch out from the hardtop.
Watch the holes move. See, if you were to mark it like that, versus if you mark it like this.
So what Jeff's doing here is he's putting that well nut, he's putting it like this so we can mark off the required 3/16 offset to the hardtop. So if you do what he's doing, you'll mark it perfectly. And all we've done over here on the right hand side is put the well nuts in and put the bolts in, but no tightening. You don't want to tighten those bolts. Here's your holes after you drill them. This is the bottom. There's the top. And as you can see right through these guys into the interior. And then the back ones right here, basically they go into the wheel well right there. And if you look from the inside after the drill, you have your bottom one down there, and there's your top one up there. So here we have the inside after we put the flex nuts in. And then this plastic cover here for the rear view, I popped that back in. The bracket is secure. We didn't damage that at all because again you have this from the exterior right there to the interior wall right there. You've got a huge amount of space right there to play with. Okay, this is the interior on the flex nut, and let me try to get a good angle. So as I screw that in, that bolt, it expands the rubber, and that is a really tight seal there. Even if the holes are irregular and stuff like that, the rubber flange is going to override any kind of quirks that you do when you're drilling. Here is the one on the very top here. That turned out really well again. And this is, let me back out here. So after all said and done, this is what it looks like on a JL Jeep Rubicon, and I have a 2020, and that is not going anywhere. And again, you have 1, 2, and then you have the 3, the 4 flex nuts, and then tomorrow the bracket comes, and then we have the rivet nuts are already at the factory. They're already secured in here. So there you have it. That thing is not going anywhere.